stretch. But it looks like he's getting this trick even more and more dialed. He's landing it to perfection. As he comes around from the second front flip there, watch where he catches, Jimmy. Like, we call it the sweet spot when you're just a little past the knuckle. Carries the speed through to the quarter pipe.
And you can see he's got a little bit of dirt there on that right shoulder. He took a pretty hard crash in practice earlier this afternoon, but then gets out here, first rider in, and puts down a solid run. So that'll give him a score of 80.33 to start it off. But coming up next, we've got an X Games rookie. This is James Foster.
Strange to even call him an X Games rookie.
I know,
he's been around for a while. Really talented rider. Starting out with a massive flip whip. And it looked like, oh, whoa!
Taking a heavy hit there to the left side. We have
some what you want to see.
Medical staff in the business out here at X Games, attending to James Foster right now.
I hate to see that with anybody. James is such a great guy. I mean, he landed over the gap so clean. It seemed like he had almost too much speed for someone that hasn't ridden the quarter pipe much recently.
We're down to 7 riders on the lineup now. They get 4 runs. It is the best run that counts. And the next guy we're going to see is that gentleman right there, Morgan Wade, who happens to have the X Games high air record when it comes to big air.
Yeah, Morgan just goes big every time he gets on his bike, regardless of the discipline. Look at him, perfectly stretched, no-handed backflip.
It just floats a huge invert one-hander and just looking over at the crowd, he just looks up, no problem.
Now for him, 18 feet 10 inches, I guess that was a low one. It looked huge from my vantage point. It's showing 18 feet 10 inches. But, you know, they are outdoors this time. The wind's not as bad as it could be, but it still has an effect.
Look at that.
We call that ratitude. A guy named Rob Nolly used to look into the camera all the time when he stalled out nose pits and stuff. And we call it ratitude.
He's not even looking at his landing. He's looking straight across the water at the crowd on that one. He gets him an 81.33. By the way, I mentioned he holds the higher record. He got it in Barcelona with 23 feet 3 inches. He originally held it at 21.7, and then it was taken away from him by Brazilian rider Douglas Leite. But we're moving into our next competitor. Here comes Steve McCann.
It'll be interesting to see Steve. Just a big 360 over, a little rotated there, but pulled it still. McCann really feels like almost like a warm-up run for Steve, you know, but hey, get a score in, and there was a long break there, so maybe that was part of the strategy.
I was going to say, with the long break and nobody really took any warm-up runs, you think just playing it safe at this point, you know, and just get out there and use that as a warm-up. You've got 4 runs, the best one counts, so use the first one there.
Yeah, in Foz, he didn't make it to the quarter pipe in his runs because he was going for really gnarly variations over the gap and injured his wrist. So I think it's a good strategy. Do a run that you can pull. But we know Steve McCann's capable of a lot more than that.
So Morgan Wade, your current leader right now with an 81.33. We're halfway through round 1 of 4. So Steve gets a 79 there. That'll put him in 3rd place right now, just behind Andy Buckworth. Coming up next, though, Chad Kagy, and this guy unleashed a new trick on us at BMX Vert in Barcelona with the front flip flare. What's he going to do here in GoPro BMX Bigger in Munich?
Wow, Superman backflip. The slip and slide feature we have. That's, you know, a lot of times people can crash really, really hard in this quarter pipe, and sometimes you crash hard on the gap. But more often than not, when you fall in the gap, it just turns into a gigantic slide.
Look at the extension on that. He was perfect. The legs were perfectly straightened out.
What if he manualed that into an Abubica? That would be the winning run.
An Abubica is a lip trick. Basically, you go up stalling on the back tire up on the top of the ramp. That would be pretty impressive. That would award him in the technical factor, but I don't know that would
win the pizza. There's been a pizza on the line for the first Abubica.
Colton Saterfield, the backflip tail whip over the gap.
Slipped a pedal, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his speed, but he did it on that big quarter pipe. So I think all of these guys are, you know, maybe shaking up a little bit from James's fall, but more than that, it's you know, a little cold. So with 4 runs, why not get warm? Single tail whip backflip. Not to downplay that, because that's a really cool trick. But you're talking about a guy that does a bar spin into a double tail whip during a backflip and lands it cleaner than this one. So expect to see more from him during his later runs.
Yeah, again, I was going to ask you, I mean, Think these guys are a little unnerved by what happened to James Foster there, second rider in?
Maybe a little bit, and delays can kind of play games with you too, and being outdoors in the elements, but it doesn't seem to be really horrible wind, so I expect to see these guys step it up.
This is Vince Byron. He was your silver medalist at the last stop in Barcelona.
And here we go, stepping it up. Didn't pull it, but that's stepping it up. Double tail whip backflip. Seemed like he overshot the landing there.
You know, and again, going back to what you just said, I mean, these guys have been sitting for a long time. They didn't take any warm-up runs prior to resuming comp.
Double whip, and look how far he overshot. So, you know, if you overshoot the knuckle, you're going to keep rotating in one direction or another. And he just kept, like, going too far around and landed a little back wheel heavy and slid out.
Well, he hung on to that one to the bitter end. You said he over-rotated and just slid out down the knuckle of the landing there, but you can just see by the mood of these guys as they ride away. Definitely looking a little phased by that crash there with James Foster. But this is the guy we've been talking about. He's looking to make it 3 in a row here in Munich. It's Zach Worden.
And that's a very good way to start out. Gigantic bike flip, backflip, right into a triple whip.
And that's the run that got him the win in Foz do Iguaçu, Brazil.
Yes, he stepped it up since then, but that's clearly going to be in the lead here. And, you know, not a bad strategy. If that was a strategy going in, I mean, start with the run that you won with in Foz, step it up from there.
So Zach looking pretty happy getting that one down in round 1. Take a look at the replay here.
You do a bike flip while you're doing a backflip. And where he stepped that up in Barcelona was after stepping on, throws a late tail whip too, and I think we're going to see that tried from him later on.
We'll get this one out of the way first. That was his strategy going into it in Barcelona. He got this run down first. That's when we saw the late tail whip in that same trick. And check out the height here on the quarter pipe with that triple tail whip. Once, twice, 3 times around there for Zach.
Yeah, we're clearly going to have the leader here by a long ways. And there you go, an 85.
And that puts him in the top position here at the end of round 1. Let's send it down to Jordan Whitley.
All right, Zach Worden, the man with the target on his back and the newly shorn locks. Now, what you did out there put you in first, but you know you're going to have to step it up. So what's the process moving forward?
Well, you know, with Foster going down there, I think everyone up there just wanted to get a good solid run down and just kind of keep it safe. It definitely is always rough to start a contest out with a rider going down like that, and I really hope Foster is feeling better and hope he's doing well soon.
Well, he did say he was feeling fine when they sent him off. Now, what was it like up there with the guys having to wait that long? What were the conversations like?
Well, it's just scary because you're up there. We don't have communication down here. We don't really know. Like, we didn't know that he was conscious until he lifted his arm up and was getting carried away. So there's a good 15, 20 minutes up there where it's like, all right, like we saw him get knocked out. Like, how bad is it, you know? So it definitely plays your mind, and especially with like about the 35-minute wait for an ambulance to get here, I think everyone's just trying to work the jitters out right now.
Thanks so much, Zach. Guys, back to you.
So again, if you're just joining us, we've just completed round 1 of 4 here for the GoPro BMX Big Air Final. Zach Worden in the lead. He was talking about James Foster, who was our second competitor in, and he went down on this trick right here.
And he went down hard. There's no other way to put it. Downside triple whip, I mean, that's insane, especially his first hit, his first run at X Games, but he landed low, he over-rotated a little like you said earlier, and hit his head hard.
Well, gave us the wave as he was being carted off by medical, but again, the update right now, he's alert, he's talking, and as you heard in that interview right there with Zach, you know, or Jordan told him that, you know, he said, hey, I'm good, so that's a good sign, but again, keep those positive wishes and vibes going out there for James Foster. We go back up to the top of the order. He was your current leader, but he's now been bumped down to 3rd. This is Andy Buckworth.
We're going to see from Andy this time. Same trick over the gap and not pulling it this time.
Yeah, just under-rotates it this time. He landed perfectly in round 1, but just under-rotates it a little bit. And again, you heard Zach say in that interview with Jordan that, you know, a little bit of jitters after seeing a guy go down early like that, but everyone's glad that he's up and okay.
Yeah, no-handed double front flip and just not getting it all the way around this time. He had pulled that clean about 4 or 5 times in a row in competition up to that point. Probably a bunch of times in practice too, so I believe he had something different planned for the quarter pipe that time. We'll have to wait and see.
Speaking of having something different planned for the quarter pipe, you saw that huge invert out of Morgan Wade the last go-around, staring at the crowd, as you called it, the Ratitude. What do you think? This time around, maybe go for that higher record again?
We'll see. Yeah, and if he keeps doing the higher record with the one-hand invert, you know, it drops the handlebars lower. But it's Morgan. He's about having fun.
See how far off the back of the bike he was on that Superman. seat grab, double grab, and the seat on that one just completely stretched
Here
out.
it comes. I thought he was about to do the worm. I said he's about having fun, but
I say going for the record again. He currently holds the record, but he wants the overall higher world record.
wow, so much extension. Superman like double seat grab, and then, oh, look at that, just completely missing the grips, completely missing the pedals.
Yeah, he holds the X Games higher record in competition here at Big Air at 23 feet 3 inches, but he's going for that world record held by Kevin Robinson of 27 feet set back in 2008. You see him there in that slow-mo replay, just fumbling for the left side of the grip right there. But our next competitor coming down the rolling, this is Steve McCann.
That was beautiful.
Wow.
Big, giant, no-handed 360 to late turn down, and a gigantic double tail whip through a late table. You know, Steve has pulled a triple tail whip on this. I won't say settled for a double there because it was a double whip to a late invert. I call it a tabletop invert. It depends on the position coming in there, but this is a good run.
Yeah, and look what he brings out of
no-handed
this.
three to late turn down. Threes aren't easy to do over that big gap. Hardly anybody does. And rather than settle for a double whip, he's going to throw in a late tabe, inverted if he's higher up.
Well, he had a 79 flat that first go-around. It's got him down in 4th right now, so this should definitely improve the score. But again, great extension on that no-handed 360 going over the gap. And as you mentioned, just throwing that late turn down to the mix. Gives him an 81.66, so that'll put him in 2nd right now, just behind Zach Warden.
It's a really cool run to see, though, because he mixed it up from what we've seen him doing in his last runs.
Here we go once again, Chad Kagy here for round 2 of 4.
Cliffhanger backflip. I'm expecting to see a massive toe and flare, and that's exactly what we got. This is the run that, you know, he's been doing this with consistency, and, you know, those are 2 really gnarly tricks, and Chad did it in perfection right there.
And the cliffhanger backflip, you see a lot of guys doing that in freestyle motocross. It's crazy doing this on a BMX bike.
I mean, he's fully extending it too. You have to mention that. And look at this. I mean, he lands so smooth. I've said it before, you wish this was a half pipe sometimes. He could have gone higher on the next wall.
Well, he was down all the way down in 7th pre-run with that first run score. What do you think? You want to walk that plank where this is going to put him in the overall?
He'll be higher than 7th for sure.
87 flat, so he jumps up to 1st, so he is overtaking the lead from Zach Warden. Let's check in again with Jordan.
All right, Chad, you took some risks, made some big decisions, and they paid off. You're now in the lead. Take me through that run.
Going for it. I want to do my new cliffhanger backflip over the big gap and then put in the comfortable thing for me, which is odd that it's a go-to trick, is flare tail whip. I went about 14 feet on that one. I think I can go a little higher next time, but I've got some other ideas. That run worked. It put me into 1st place with an 87. Got room for improvement. Here we go.
All right, we're looking for you to go a little bit higher. Thanks, Chad, guys.
How about that? He calls it the comfort zone, or his go-to trick, going into the flare whip right there. So there you go. Chad Kagy, your leader here in the middle of round number 2 of 4. Remember, it's 4 runs out here tonight in GoPro BMX Big Air, and it's the best run that counts. And watch out for this guy. He was knocking on the door in Barcelona. This is Colton Saterfield.
Whoa! Slide out there again, but
Try to send that around twice here in round 2, and again, having trouble with getting the feet back on the pedals there.
not quite in the zone that he was in Barcelona, but there's still 2 runs left.
And look at the size of this crowd on hand here in the Olympic Park Plaza here in Munich, Germany. Vince Byron, your next competitor, and as we mentioned before, Vince walked out of there in Barcelona last month with a silver medal. Here he comes down the rolling for round 2.
Double tail with backflip.
Same slide out that we saw in that first round. I didn't think we'd see him slide out twice on that trick.
You know what, we did see him slide out a few times in practice right toward the end though, so there's something a little bit off. 2 tail whips while you're doing a backflip, and pretty close that time, but still slid out. That's not going to make it to the quarter boat.
Just a little heavy on the left side there, slides out. You can see there at the end of that shot, he definitely a little frustrated. But again, he's got 2 more runs. There's 4 runs total out here tonight. It's the best run that counts. There is, look at Zach Warden. He was your current leader. He's now sitting in second. Let's take a look back at what he put down in the opening round.
bike flip, back flip to perfection, and another triple whip. He's making these things like a walk in the park. He's going to pull another triple whip. Trust me, it's not an easy trick.
So here we go. This is the moment of truth. We talked about the trick that he brought out in Barcelona. It's the bike flip, back flip that you just saw there in that piece of video from round 1. But what he does is he adds a late tail whip into the mix. Can he do it here in round 2?
Not going to happen in that run. Good bike flip, back flip though. Not quite getting the speed that he needed to go any higher on the quarter pipe that time. So I don't know. He's shaking his head and laughing it off. You've got 4 runs. If it's not right, it's not right.
Do you think he was just trying to do that same run again and just clean it up a little bit, go a little higher, or that the late tail whip he wasn't feeling it?
I think he had the late tail whip plan, but it is a late trick. If you get to the point you're supposed to do it and something isn't right, you're better off not forcing it.
You can see that right hand was kind of moving around a bit on the grip.
I think that he was going to try that. When it didn't work, then it kind of took a little motivation to try to go higher on the quarter pipe. Almost looked like maybe he tapped brake or did something intentional to slow down.
I didn't think he had enough height to even get a triple tail whip around, but he worked for every bit of that one and rode it out. So that's not going to be an improvement on his first run score for sure. So he'll more than likely stick with that 85 as we completed round 2 of 4 out here.
Yeah, and I think after 2 rounds, I mean, we both suspected that it was going to be tough to top the level of riding at Barcelona, the main factor being they're outside, not indoors. The wind's not horrible, though, so it's not too late for them to step it up in the next 2 runs.
Well, another thing to mention, too, is, we had perfect conditions with the event being indoors in Barcelona, but we also didn't have the long delay as well, and that's definitely a factor here. I mean, first of all, you're seeing one of your friends, with medical staff, you're wondering how they're doing, but then you also have to wait to get the medical staff back, so you go cold. We've completed round 2 of 4. 2 more rounds still to go with a second round score of 87 flat, but this is Andy Buckworth for round 3.
Another double front flip, taking the hands off, extending a clean and a flare. I mean, that's stepping it up. It's very low, though. By big air standards, that's not going to...
It's a different trick, but the height factor is definitely going to...
Yeah, that's no knock on Andy. He doesn't have a lot of experience in riding a vert ramp. I say that just because a lot of this field are experienced vert competitors. You're seeing here, same thing he did in his earlier runs, no-handed double front flip. But when he gets to the quarter pipe, the guys that have ridden vert and paid their dues on that really know how to pump it and blast. You've never seen a gold or a silver go to a rider that isn't a serious vert rider.
And again, I'm not downplaying the flare, but I mean, with the height factor, that it's not going to be enough, so he'll go with an 80 this time around, so he'll stick with that first run score of 80.33. That's got him sitting in 5th place as of right now. Your next competitor due up is Morgan Wade, but before we get to his run, let's check in once again with Jordan Whitley.
Well, I spoke to Morgan earlier, and he's not continuing his quest for the quarter pipe highest air because he is riding with severely bruised ribs. 2 weeks ago in Amsterdam, he was at a contest and hit a metal bridge, kind of pinballed down the side. He said it was like getting hit with a baseball bat in the front and a car from behind. Asked his friend, why is he even riding today? And he said, because he's Morgan Wade.
I love that comment, because he's Morgan Wade. I can't think of a better follow-up to that.
He now rides for Hoffman Bikes, and it's so fitting. He just has that HP style, right there. Just completely extended, Superman seat grab with both hands on the seat. Massive double whip. That's a solid run. I mentioned he now rides for Hoffman Bikes. I mean, he got his start in BMX in the early 90s when he went to the Texas State Fair in Dallas and saw Matt Hoffman and myself do a Sprocket Jockey show. So it's only fitting that he ends up on Hoffman Bikes. Huge double tail whip. He's got the HP spirit. He lives in nearby Texas. And when I say HP spirit, Matt Hoffman's known for going 110% all the time, and Morgan's the same way.
Yeah, that contest that she was talking about in the report was the Framed Reactions, the Red Bull Framed Reactions event. He actually broke a 2x4 with his chest. He had an Instagram picture of it. You could actually see the imprint of the 2x4 across his chest. That's how tough that guy is.
Morgan Wade won 2x4-0.
So he had an 81.33 in the first round, which is his best run score as of now. Got him in 4th place. Tonight, X Games Munich continues at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. You can also watch live on the Watch ESPN app. Just a waiting score here for
This is
Morgan Wade's third
he's
run.
going to jump up. I mean, that was too high of an air not to. It's the highest air today so far, if I'm not mistaken, and it's a double tail whip here.
So he ends up with an 84, so you're right, he jumps up one spot, so he's back into medal contention at this point. He's in third place, and he's bumped Steve McCann out into fourth, but Steve McCann is due up next.
This isn't going to do it for Steve. Maybe he's just going for that record.
Maybe he's trying
He's
that
capable
record.
of going huge. That was high. It's not going to be a record, but that was a big air.
So again, if you're trying to break the record out here at the X Games for GoPro BMX Big Air, 23 feet 3 inches, which is what Morgan set down in Barcelona last month.
I didn't talk to him ahead of time, so I don't know if that doing nothing over the gap was a mistake, like he had something planned and something went wrong, or if he was just trying to go over it, catch it in the perfect spot on the back of the knuckles so that you could blast.
Well, we saw him try that in Barcelona, looking like he was maybe going to try to push for the higher record here at the X Games. Remember, the overall world record is 27 feet, set by Kevin Robinson back in 2008. Up on top of the roll-in there is a shot of your current leader, Chad Kagy, and this is what he put down in round 2 to put him in that spot.
Cliffhanger backflip and then flare whip, but I can't say it enough. I mean, it's just perfection. He's pulled that run a few times this year, and he just does it perfect.
It's perfection. He's got room to build on now, but we've still got a couple of guys in this field that we talked about at the top of the show that were hard charging there in Barcelona, and they have yet to put down solid runs here. So what do you think Chad's going to add to the mix this time around?
Well, I could spend time talking, or we can watch right now, because another cliffhanger. No, we don't know what he was going to try on the quarter pipe. I guarantee it wasn't going to be the same thing, though. He started with the same trip over the gap, a cliffhanger, backflip, and then if he'd landed it, who knows? If I were to guess, maybe a double flare whip. He's done them on vert.
So he brought a new one out with the front flip flare that we saw in BMX Vert in Barcelona. What do you think? Would he ever attempt to possibly throw that here?
Yeah.
On the mega ramp?
I was about to say, why not? But I mean that, As a fellow rider, why not? When something works on something small, it should work on something big, and you're going to have more room to land the trick. But I think it was more likely he was going to go for a double tail whip flare.
Well, the most prestigious tennis tournament continues on ESPN with huge upsets across the board. Both the ladies and gentlemen's fields are wide open. The third round of the championships at Wimbledon, presented by Rolex, tomorrow at 8 a.m. on ESPN and also live on Watch ESPN. Again, take a look at the size of that crowd out here in Munich for the GoPro BMX Big Air Final. Still in the lineup total. It's 4 runs apiece. It's best run that counts, and here comes Colton Saterfield.
Yes, double whip flip, and then triple whip. Love to see the replay. There was something odd about the double whip flip. But
well, Colton has yet to really get a decent score. He's got a 77 and a 72, but he's very fired up about that run right there.
Right, he's in a back flip. Throwing a tail whip. That's what I thought.
Oh, it's a windshield wiper flip. He sent that back the other way.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it in real time because it went by so fast. But yeah, Colton having thrown a bar spin into a double whip flip, I knew that he just wouldn't settle for a double whip flip. So windshield wiper back flip into a triple whip. This is a very good run.
That's huge. I mean, that's amazing. You're doing a backflip. You're sending the frame around once one way, and then you're kicking it back the other direction. I'm in the same boat with you on that. At real-time speed, I thought that's what it was, but I didn't want to say that until I saw the replay.
He whipped them both so fast. He got the first whip around. As soon as it hit his foot hits the crank, he just kicks it back the other way. There was something about it that made it not look like his traditional double whip flip. So I knew something was different, and yeah, that trick's going to score high.
Well, he gets an 84.66, so that puts him up in medal contention. So Colton Saterfield has now jumped up into third. So your top three now, it's Kagy, Warden, and Saterfield. But coming up next, Vince Byron, who's had some troubles here in the first couple of rounds as well.
Double tail whip back flip and lands it this time. That's a lot of speed. He's no stranger to vert. Look at this. Yeah, that is a flare. 15-foot flare. And man, it looked big. These guys aren't going as high today as they were in Barcelona, maybe because, again, the outdoor elements. I see 15, and I thought, just 15 for a second? Because it looked bigger. But 15 foot on a flare, are you kidding me? And are you kidding me on this?
Something in there.
Double tail whip back flip, but Look how clean he lands at this time, Jimmy. It's like perfection.
Yeah, he over-rotated it twice and slid out. You knew that wasn't going to happen a third time. And taking a look at the slow-mo here on the height with the flare, ooh, just right at 15 feet. So now it all comes down to the score. Now it's starting to heat up here.
I'll walk the plank. This will be higher than the 72 he currently has. That's not much of a plank to walk.
So your top three, it's Kagy, Warden, and Saterfield as of right now. So Vince ends up with an 84 flat, so that'll definitely move him up. It'll put him in fourth, but he's not in medal contention as of right now. We have one rider left to go here in round 3 of 4, but Vince is definitely pumped up about that one. He's got the monkey off his back here. There's still one more run to go. The question now, are we going to see Zach put down that bike flip, back flip to late tailwind?
We're going to see him try it.
So here we go with Zach Warden. Gets the bike flip.
Yeah, he just didn't quite hit the pedals at the right time, and off he goes. But down a giant slip and slide, and he's got one more try.
I was gonna say, that's the beauty of the format. It's the best run that counts as we take a look at the replay, see where it went wrong.
Yeah, just didn't quite come around right. Wasn't able to, even the hand wasn't able to grab back on in the right spot.
He ends up grabbing the seat, and then the left foot slips the pedal. Just decides to let go right there. So he's got one more run at it. That's the end of round 4 here. So again, your top three, it's Chad Kagy with that 87 flat, Zach Warden with his first run score of 85, and Colton Saterfield lit it up here at the end of round 3 with that 84.66 to round out the podium as of right now. And you got people on both sides of the lake checking out the action. You get some people hanging out there and some paddle boards. It is a packed house out here for day 2 of 4 for X Games Munich, and lots of things on tap out here. We got Skate Big Air going on tomorrow. We got a brand new one we talked about on Sunday with that mountain bike slope style competition. So lots of things to see and do out here in beautiful Munich, Germany. Up on top of the rolling, though, we're back up to the top of the order. One more round to go. It is best run that counts. We'll see if we can shake up these standings one more time as we bring back in Andy Buckworth.
Big, just single flip, kind of laying it over a little bit there, and trying to go a little higher on the quarter pipe maybe. He was 11.5 feet, perhaps satisfied with his last run. Perhaps something went off, wrong down the roll-in, but clearly that wasn't a run where he expected to move up in the standings.
Yeah, that best run score for him thus far was at 80.33. Looking over at the scoring monitor, it says that he went about 11 feet 6 inches there on the height. Not going to be enough here for Andy Buckworth, so we're going to bring him in one more time. Morgan Wade, we talked about it earlier. He's got some bruised ribs from that Red Bull framed reactions competition, but Morgan, you said he's Morgan Wade. Enough said right there. He's still going to put a show on for the fans out here
I don't
in
think
Munich.
He's thinking about his ribs anymore. He might have been when he did that interview because it was cold and windy and they hadn't started the comp yet. But right now, right at this moment, Morgan Wade is not thinking about his ribs.
I don't think that he's going to lay out even, knowing him, he may just try to send it and say, you know what, I'm going for the Big Air record anyway.
He shook his head, he gave somebody a thumbs up. He looks like he's coming out of a gate, like this is an ABA Grands National. Riders ready? Watch the lights. Psst.
And the way Chad Kagy was throwing his arms up over his head, I think Morgan may actually be going for it here.
Oh, well, that's beautiful right there. Picturesque yet again. That's a triple whip, and it was gigantic.
19 feet 2 inches. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is. It's got to top his 84. I mean, and being the tie for 4th place, it's a matter if it gets that extra percentage points to put him into medal contention.
Once, twice, and 3 times around at almost 20 feet.
Yeah, he did that at the pace of a double whip or even a single whip. He's not spinning them like crazy. Guess why? Because he's got 20 feet to do the trick. That's 40 feet, actually. 20 feet up, 20 feet down.
Well, you mentioned right now he's in a tie with Vince Byron for 4th place with that 84. First tiebreaker here. There's 5 judges out here. They drop the high, drop the low, average the remaining 3 together. So the first tiebreakers, they bring back in all of those scores. Taking a look at Zach Warden right there. He is your defending medalist from Barcelona, who's currently
85,
sitting in 2nd. And now Taking a look at Bob Burnquist. He's another rider who's looking to make it 3 in a row out here this weekend in Munich in skateboard big air, which is going on tomorrow night. Taking a look at Bob in practice earlier today. We'll see if he can make it 3 in a row out here in Munich. As a matter of fact, not the only one looking for 3 in a row out here in Munich. Pedro Barros out there in Skateboard Park. He had to fall second yesterday to Kern Cables. Bucky Lassick got it done in his last run last night. Talk about the pressure. He made it 3 in a row in Skateboard Vert. We talked about Bob Burnquist and Laya Sanz over in Women's Enduro X, who we'll see Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And Zach Ward, of course, there in the middle. We're not done yet. He has actually just been bumped down to 3rd because Morgan Wade with the last run with an 85.66 has now jumped up into the silver medal spot. So your defending gold medalist from Barcelona is now sitting in 3rd place. But keep in mind, he's the last rider to go. So we still got one more run as we get set to bring back in Steve McCann.
Guys, going to 3, get the turn down in this time, and he's just calling it a day.
Kind of an anticlimactic finish there for Steve. Again, we talked about this earlier. He's a little dinged up this year, right ankle injury, hurt his right wrist in Foz de Guasu.
You know, he's no stranger to X Games competitions, and when you do something, you know right there, when he didn't get the turn down in, this isn't going to score as high, so did the safe thing, and he's going to live to ride another day. Back to Morgan Wade, if I could for a second, I realize that he's got about 13 feet per tail whip to fit that in. You know, it's 19 and a half feet up, 19 and a half feet back down. He doesn't have to do it fast.
So Ford presents today's best, and today's best is Chad Kagy's 2nd run.
Unbelievable. Once again, the famous backflip to like perfection, and then just a giant flare whip. And he lands it so smooth. I mean, that's key. That really makes a big difference with the judges. I mean, if somebody sketches out of something, it's not going to be the highest score of the day typically. And he was perfect.
Well, he has the confidence on that trick. You heard him talk about in the interview with Jordan. He says that's my go-to trick.
Yeah, that's
so
insane.
He knows he can put that down time and time again. He is your current leader. Again, with that run that we just saw from the Ford's best with an 87 flat. We're bringing him in one more time around.
Cliffhanger backflip again. We'll see. Does he go for a double one here? Does he go for one? Yes,
and he does.
Oh, well. Good to see him come out of that safely enough, it appears. And I feel a little bit like...
well, the feet were on the pedals.
Well, yeah, it was really close. I mean, I felt like that was very landable. It was at a height of 12 feet.
See Steve McCann out there talking to him right now, but he is up and okay. And again, getting a standing ovation from the fans here in Munich. I can't believe how many people are packed into this venue right now watching this competition.
I just felt this is what he was going to try. I didn't have any inside information. He didn't tell me, but he pulled it in vert at the last, you know, in Barcelona at the last stop. And why not try it on the big air ramp? It's easy to say sitting in the booth, but why not?
Taking a look at it again from this vantage point, get a better idea of where it went wrong. Just back tire first, and the left foot slipped off the pedals.
That could have been much worse. He came out of that pretty well.
So obviously with the crash, he'll stick with that 2nd run score of 87 flat. It's got him in the lead as of right now, but we still have 3 riders left to go. Colton Saterfield is up next. He came out swinging in that 3rd round with an 84.66. Let's see what he brings to the party this time around, Dennis.
He scored a 90 in the pass. You can't compare one comp to the other perfectly, but
going for that windshield wiper flip again, but that last part of the rotation came around late. You can see him fighting to get back to the pedals.
Stay right where he is for now.
So again, Zach Warden, our last rider to go. We still have Vince Byron though, but Zach's gonna ride last. He's the guy that got the gold medal in Foz de Guasu, Brazil, and last month in Barcelona, Spain. He's currently sitting in the bronze medal position.
Well, that could change. That could change very quickly. I mean, Vince Byron's one of the best riders in the world. And you got a guy that scored 90 recently in Barcelona too. You don't really compare one contest to the next, but he's capable better than what he's done up to this point.
Back flip, double whip. coming into the quarter pipe.
Huge no-handed 5. Man, the way he stalled that out, it was like, I thought maybe he's wanting something late after it. I could be wrong, but either way, no-handed 540, huge trick, especially when it's 16 feet huge.
Check this out on the replay here. Started off with this trick, the backflip double tail whip.
Same trick that he pulled in the last run, but he's mixing it up by doing different things on the quarter pipe, and he's landed good enough to carry the speed. 16 foot on a 540, that is no joke.
And right here, the hands coming off
Full
the
extension.
540. The only other guy besides Kevin Robinson, by the way, to 540 on the quarter pipe here at BMX Big Air at the X Games, and your current leader, Chad Kagy, giving him a round of applause on that one. Just waiting on the score here.
Vinny
for
had full
Vince.
extension on that no-handed 5 too, and it looked like he had time at the end, like he was just toying with it. When you go that high, you've got time.
He's down in 5th place right now with an 84 flat. That's what he put down in round number 3. Keep in mind, we still have Zach Ward still coming. It's an 84.33, not going to move him up. Let's check in one more time with Jordan Whitley.
All right, well, Chad, you are sitting in the lead. You were not safe. What is it like sitting here knowing Zach Warden still has 1 run left?
This is fun. I get to sit back and watch. He likes to make it interesting on me. I like to make it interesting for him. I was up there going, hey, Zach, go land this and make it interesting for our last runs, and he didn't make it. Unfortunately, I didn't pull that and bump the score up, but he's got a good chance.
That's the best answer I've ever heard. You're having fun. Guys, back to you.
Well, it all comes down to this last run here. Zach Warden's our last guy to go. He's in medal contention right now. He's sitting in the bronze medal spot, so we know at the very least he's going to walk away on the podium out here, but he'd love to trade up that spot and walk away with another one of the shiniest ones you can get.
Yeah, I'm sure he would, and he's in his own lately, but he's been the one that says it in interviews, you know. This is sort of a crapshoot. That's the nature of Big Air. I mean, something goes wrong and he jumps off, he'll stay put, but hey, bronze medal's nothing to be ashamed of. But this is Zach Warden, back-to-back golds, and let's see if he can make it back-to-back-to-back.
Here we go. It comes down to this last run.
Bike flip, back flip, it's not gonna happen, but kudos to him for trying.
And it gets away from him there, and that means Chad Kagy is going to walk out of here with the gold medal, his second GoPro BMX Big Air medal of the season here in 2013 on the Global X Games expansion. He got a silver in Foz do Iguaçu, Brazil. Didn't make the podium in Barcelona last month.
You know what, he puts Morgan Wade in the silver position as well, and you know, Morgan can ride a vert ramp too, but he's not a guy that competes in vert, and this would be the first time that a guy that isn't a normal vert competitor stepped it up into the silver position.
Yeah, that's Morgan's second GoPro BMX Big Air medal of the season as well. He got a bronze in Foz do Iguaçu, Brazil. But taking a look back here to round number 2, this is the run that did it for Chad.
Cliffhanger back flip and massive flare whip. Massive, perfectly clean. I mean, perfection wins tonight. Perfection on some pretty gnarly tricks, I might say, too.
And again, the height factor on that flare tail whip was pretty insane. Hard to tell the height there from the GoPro angle off the visor of the helmet there, but Chad Kagy adds his 3rd Big Air gold medal. He's gotten one back in 2008 and 2010, so he gets his 3rd gold medal here in GoPro BMX Big Air in Munich,